Chapter 9 Time and Tide. Happy are those former glories, where further shores and lesser stories would keep my soul from trappings firm within a lighter heart, appointed for my second calling that chilled the soul and world alike, and stirred an echo bleakly daunting across the precipice so bright. A solitaire spun starlight fine, a thread of gossamer a spawning that joins the dots of conscious flight that keeps true love from ever mourning. The shadows of eternity from dark light cast on table lamp, when lights go out with certainty will find the elevating ramp. On looking back at space long travelled, the chasm of the tortured night holds true the barrier unfathomed, and reveals to one the sacred light. Recent events have, for some reason, accelerated my capacity to learn and take on new information. The fabric ripples, the information flows, and the wisdom follows. It would seem that centering ourselves upon the important stuff is synonymous with universal insight. It matters not that we are stubborn in all the ways that are far from virtuous and in all the ways that go against natural laws. The only trait that truly matters is the instinct to stop, center ourselves, and serve. And when I say serve, I am referring to serving a higher purpose than those worthy of our sacrifice. If this one cornerstone is in place, then the high castle can, indeed, get built, and even though there will be imperfections introduced along the way, and these imperfect forms will be foundational for a time, these impure ways can be later corrected by a higher craftsmanship. Nothing that we apply ourselves to that is truly bad is truly beyond a higher kind of correction. Measure and correct. Measure and correct. Such is the mantra of godlike creatures. There is a kind of philosophy that has come to me, that has surfaced in the cabin. Wisdom like water and flooding the ship. I would like to share this wisdom with you. It would appear that there is a dark seed and a light seed within each one of us, whoever or whatever we are. And if we are conscious of our surroundings and ourselves, then these two seeds are always present. It is our continued nurturing of one seed over the other that dictates who we are, and whether or not we are in league with darkness or light. Our actions day to day and moment to moment create the nurturing force that grows our chosen tree within us. It is forever our choice, of course it is. Regardless of manipulation technologies that bend reality and distort the truth, the reality of our situation and the truth of our situation, on some hidden and intuitive level, always bubbles to the surface. The question is always this: do we choose to grow a tree of darkness within us that becomes the very framework for our lives, the trunk and the branches creating pathways to lower and lower frequencies? Or do we choose a tree of life, a tree of light? And just because you have been a certain way for a time and followed the path of the soulless, it does not mean that you cannot change direction, as I just have. How long do you think it takes to change your mind about something, and, with it, your ways? Well, I'll tell you, and in all honesty and from recent and personal experience, it takes no more than a mere instant. And in that one instant, the dark tree that you have grabbed at and clung to with a misplaced sense of comfort and loyalty atomizes and is swept away by the four winds, or metaphorically goes back to the earth. We can change our minds in relation to just about anything, and these changes of attitude can head us towards the light despite ourselves, and despite our destructive tendencies, and despite our leanings towards self-sabotage. Our darkness can surely be used by the exalted ones, and in a way that is seemingly against us, and we immediately emerge into the light because of this, and breathe a sigh of relief. The universe looks very different all of a sudden. In the past, It has always appeared to me that there is a clear definition between the blackness of space and the ancient fires, the stars that hang upon the fabric and, in doing so, stretch the cosmic blanket. And within this black and white view, there has always been a clear winner. It has always appeared that darkness has won over far more heavenly territory. But now I see this whole cosmic situation with brand new eyes, and I know that I've been looking at this all wrong. In a young universe, interdimensionally speaking, the light is advancing and pushing back the emptiness and the off-balance of non-existence. The blueprint of God is restructuring, mending the broken mirror that reflects eternity. And it has always been true that hope rises up through the broken mechanism, broken by the unwise and the greedy, and, like I say, when the physical universe is over, even they will be invited back and embraced by the light. All matter, energy, and all consciousness must return. No one is beyond salvation. I have to believe this. A glowing truth that repeats beneath a translucent surface and makes all things right. Only in darkness are we revealed, as with the star piercing the night, and only in light are we redeemed, as with the opportunities that are thrown towards us like crumbs brushed onto the floor from God's own table. There are those in the universe who thrive within negative states. I have sensed them. They do not give back to the collective, but instead they only take. They lock onto energy forms like parasites, and they have no creative ability of their own. And even though they cannot touch me, and I am far beyond their lecherous reach, I have, nevertheless, observed them, and I have observed their ways. They envy the children of light because of their ability to create something from nothing. These lower frequency beings can only manipulate what is already there. If you were to give them a lump of clay, you would find that they do not have the soul to create anything worthwhile or aesthetically pleasing. A lump of clay remains a lump of clay. But ask these same creatures to mimic the clay that's placed before them in judgment, and you will then find something very different. You will find that at the molecular level they are able to apply themselves to the task with razor-sharp accuracy. Such is the mind of the inverted universe. I have come to realize that high technology is an extension of such a being's manipulating hand. Like pincers knifing and snapping in the darkness, and shredding something once beautiful, and pulling and distorting perceptions so that the less aware and energetically inferior are forced down a single restrictive channel. Such restrictions take away all freedoms, and when freedom is taken like this, the target species do not even realize that they're in a prison. They do not see or feel the walls or bars that hold them back and hem them in, for these field distortions are generated on levels outside of the unsuspecting victim's overall sense perception, outside of the normal five senses of a more linear existence. There are pearls where once were eyes. I have such deep feelings colouring my understanding of these findings, and I wish to share more with you, if you are happy to lend an ear. The universe, through such perception filters, becomes an inversion, and those dwelling within the lower frequencies feed on the tipping of the divine bowl. The inverted universe is preoccupied with the flip side of natural laws, and so the unnatural rises where once there reigned equilibrium. These tainted dynamics mean that chaos surfaces from order and death from life. And with this dark fire, the unworthy step outside of the purely physical cosmos and give themselves the advantage over innocent beings by preying on the innocent. I have recently and suddenly come to realize that any being within the created universe which craves death for the sake of death is an inversion of life and therefore evil. Such beings cannot escape their rancid signature, though, and these dirty interdimensional parasites can be felt, on some level, by anyone who is sensitive in the right kind of way. This is a war. Make no mistake about it. A war of perception. A war between darkness and light that is waged at the invisible level within our DNA, synthesized or otherwise, and at the visible level within our very actions. How do we know the difference between something good and something bad? We know. The contrast between dark and light can be felt, and we must intuit. We must trust our feelings. Higher intuition will take us through the corridors of light that I see before me right now, and everything becomes glorious and clear. When we manage to pull ourselves out of the nosedive and escape the bondage of the inverted universe, it is at this same time that we begin to spy an immaculate hidden code. This code seems to light the way for the chosen and the obvious truth that was there all along, socks us in the face like a comet from nowhere. The simple word live is a good example of this code, a code that speaks of both positive and negative states. Let me assert and sum up and simplify my findings for ease of assimilation. There is a universe that is light and balanced and concerned with creating life for the sake of life, and there is a universe that is opposite to this. There is a universe that is dark and off balance and concerned with bringing about death and destruction for the sake of death and destruction. These two dimensions can be seen in terms of polarity, positive and negative, or correct order and that which is reversed or inverted. There is an obvious code running through all languages, current and ancient, that gives clues of these correct and inverted dynamics, or positive and negative dimensions. It has recently occurred to me that the simple word live, which originates from a word meaning light or to shine, if inverted or reversed, will reveal the word evil, which originates from a word meaning darkness or death.